Hello everyone, Charles Watts here. Welcome back to Inside Arsenal. It is Tuesday. I hope the day is going well. It's Christmas Eve and I hope you're in that Christmassy feeling wherever you're watching or listening to this around the world. I am now back. Obviously, I've been away for a few days. It's been a bit radio silence from me. Apologies for that, but I have been enjoying some good family time in the build-up to Christmas. And I haven't missed much, have I? Just a 5-goal win against Crystal Palace, just an injury to Arsenal's best player. That is going to rule him out for a long, long time, which we're going to talk about, which totally sucked the life out of my journey home yesterday. I had such a great time. I've been in Lapland, the magical experience. If you can see there, some of the a few of the pictures, took the kids, surprised the kids. They didn't know about it. We managed to keep it secret until we flew them out there for a few days to go on a search for Santa. And they found Santa. They found the big man, as you can see in the picture there. And it was just an amazing time. Honestly, if you ever get the opportunity to go over there, especially with kids, it is everything you think it probably is going to be. It was unbelievable. And on the final night, we had an amazing, the skies cleared and the northern lights came out, and it's an absolutely massive life goal ticked for me. So it was an amazing few days. Absolutely loved it. And obviously Arsenal won against Crystal Palace, which I was following via social media while I was eating dinner one night. Which was brilliant, feeling really good about it. Saw the news that Saka had gone off, was hopeful it was going to be, just a few weeks. And then obviously yesterday I was on the coach on the way home going to the airport in Finland, and the news came through. I was sitting next to an Arsenal fan who another dad and some kids had gone over. And the news came through following the press conference and saw that he was out for a massive time. Just sucked the life out of both of us, just sitting there, head in the hands, like, oh no, what are they going to do? And it's just been a real shame. It's a real shame. And I mean, looking at what Mikel had to say yesterday, obviously he said, look, it's not looking good. He's going to be out for many weeks. And then he was asked, how long's many? He just said many. I cannot be too specific because I don't know, but it'll be many weeks on how big the blow is. It's huge. Obviously, he's a big player for us. You just see the impact he has on the team, but it's going to be a really good exercise for us all to think about ways to overcome another challenge, because we've already had a lot in the season. And if Saka will be back before the end of the season. He says in football with injuries, I wouldn't want to put 10 fingers there, but I would be very optimistic that he's going to be back well before the end of the season. And obviously, it's looking about 8 to 10 weeks for Bukayo Saka at the moment, which is just there's no way of dressing this up. It is a massive hammer blow. And I think the reaction of myself, the guy I was sitting with on the coach yesterday, would have just been mirrored across the world by Arsenal fans. It's something we've feared. He's managed to avoid injury in his entire career. There's been a few games that he's missed here and there, obviously, but on the whole, he's managed to avoid it. This is the first major one he's suffered since he broke into the Arsenal team. It was going to happen at some point. It's been, it's impossible to go through, pretty much impossible to go through your career without a serious injury. But this is the first time we've had it with Bukayo, and it's a bad one. Torn hamstring, especially for a winger. It's a bad one. We've just got to hope that the rehab is a success, the recovery is a success, and when he comes back, he can hit the ground running and be ready to go for, possibly the last 2-3 months of the season. We will wait and see on it, but it is a massive blow. There is absolutely no way about it. And it was interesting listening to Mikel yesterday and what he was saying in terms of, what do Arsenal do now? Because there is, it's a massive challenge for Arsenal, this huge challenge for Arsenal, because Saka is the go-to guy. He's the guy that, there aren't many of them in this squad, but if you do need someone to do something out of nothing, if you're down in a game, Arsenal will look to Saka. They'll funnel the ball out wide to Saka and hope he can score, or, deliver one of those crosses on his left foot to the back post that can cut a team apart. Someone can get on the end of it and score. We've seen it time and time again. He's Arsenal's best player with Martin Odegaard. Well, best attacker with Martin Odegaard, and that's why there's lots of finger pointing on on playing too many games for club, for country, and all that. And it's understandable, and there's definitely been opportunities where he could have played less, but he's the best player, or one of the best players on the team. So he's going to play pretty much every game. It's the same everywhere in the top teams around the world. The best players play. And he is Arsenal's best player. So he's going to play. It's very hard to leave him out when you're trying to win a trophy. You're trying to win the league. You're trying to win the Champions League. You're trying to win the FA Cup. Your best chance of doing that is with Bukayo Saka playing. So it's very hard to give him enough rest to be able to say, look, we've done all we could. Obviously, you could probably do more, but it is just the way it is. And with the fixture schedule and how mad it is, and on the back of a summer tournament, these things happen. We've seen it with Rodri. We've seen it across Europe right now with top players going down injured. And it's just a shame that it's happened to Bukayo. But I thought it was interesting in terms of what Arsenal are going to do, or what Mikel is going to do to try and sort of limit the damage or to cover the absence of Bukayo Saka. And this is what he had to say. So I'm putting some ideas together. I haven't got there yet, but I have a few. Then I want to speak with them all to understand how we're going to generate that and take it in a positive way, because we are going to be different. We went through the period without Martin. We went through the period of 5-6 defenders missing. We went through the period of many others players as well. And we will continue to do that, finding ways and taking it with positive energy. That is it. The candidates to replace Saka. So Gabby's played there, Ethan has played there, Leo can play there in relation to how that unit moves, Kai can play there, asking him different things. So we'll see, try and speak to them as well and understand how they feel about it. I thought that was interesting, really, speaking to the players to try and find how they feel about it. I mean, there are options there. Obviously, he's listed them. There's some that I don't like the idea of. I definitely don't like the idea of Kai Havertz playing out on the right-hand side. I don't really like the idea of Leandro Trossard playing on the right-hand side as well, because I've seen it at times and I don't think it works very well. I think my personal view right now would be Martinelli, move him over onto the right-hand side. We've seen him play there. We've seen him play there well. He did it when I didn't see the full game against Crystal Palace, but I watched the highlights, and he looked lively over on the right-hand side. He did well to set up the chance for Jesus' header, which came back off the post, which Havertz scored from. He scored himself, obviously, in the second half. Saw it at the end of last season when he played on the right-hand side against Everton on the final day, and I thought he played really well in that position. So for me, that's against Ipswich, straight away, the first thing to try, that would be my idea. Gabriel Jesus is another good option. Seen him play that position well many a times. He did it well for Manchester City, scored plenty of goals playing there for Manchester City. He's played there well for Arsenal at times as well. So he's a good candidate to do it internally. The thing with Gabriel Jesus, for me, the form he's in, the goals he's now scoring, the confident mood he's in, I don't think you can take him out of being the central striker. I think it'd be a shame. I think what Mikel says when he says, we're going to have to be different, he's right. And Arsenal were different when Odegaard was out. It worked initially, and then, as is the way, I think when you're without such a key player, you can maybe get away with it for a bit, but over the length of time, a longer length of time, that will start to impact you more. And I'm sure that will happen with Bukayo's injury, but Arsenal have got to find a way of coping and winning, not just winning, but winning consistently, week after week after week, if they want to try and stay in this title race and catch Liverpool. And it is going to be, I'm absolutely truthful. This is a hammer blow for Arsenal's title chances, I think. I really do think that, because they're already playing catch up. And to have to play catch up without Bukayo Saka for 3 months. And when you just look at the numbers of what he produces and the goals he produces for Arsenal, scores or sets them up, it's going to be incredibly difficult now for Arsenal to do what we hoped they were going to do. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's just, you just got to be truthful. And this is a real huge blow to their, not just title chances, silverware chances, because obviously he's going to miss now the two legs against Newcastle in the semi-final, potentially the final as well if Arsenal get there. He's going to miss the FA Cup third round tie against Manchester United. He's going to miss the final 2 Champions League games. You'd hope that Arsenal will be qualifying for Champions League, whatever happens. Well, they will be qualifying for Champions League, whatever happens. So hopefully he'll be back by the time the knockout games start. But in terms of silverware domestically, this is a massive blow for Arsenal. And it's going to be interesting to see what they do. But, again, I'd be keeping, you want as many goal threats on the pitch as possible, I think, to counter the fact that Saka's not there, to set goals up and score goals. You need as many goal threats on the pitch. So as much as I don't like, it's not that I don't like the idea, but I think we've all got a bit of scar tissue from Kai Havertz playing at that sort of left 8 role, haven't we? Because we immediately think back to those first few months of Havertz at Arsenal when he was trying to play that role and it didn't work and he looked out of place in the team. And I think we've all got a bit of scar tissue from that. But I do think without Saka, you need your goal threats on the pitch. And the way Jesus is playing right now, he has to be the central striker for me. So I think against Ipswich, I'd probably be going Martinelli right, Trossard left, Jesus up top, and I'd have Havertz behind with Odegaard in that. And then I'd have one of the players holding, a Rice, a Jorginho, a Partey, whoever that's going to end up being. But I think certainly for a home game against Ipswich, that's the way, because I just think Arsenal need to. There's an awful lot of goals they're now losing with Saka injured. And so you've got to have as many goal threats on the pitch as possible to counter that, I think. So that's what I would think. But I'd love to get your thoughts on it. Obviously, I've been away while this all happened, so I haven't really had the chance to ask you guys what you thought on it. So get into my comments. I'll pull them together and get them included in tomorrow's show. What you think Arsenal should do in the immediate, in the long term to counter the injury to Saka and how you think Arteta should try and deal with it and who should play in the game against Ipswich. Obviously, there is another option coming up, and that is January. Can Arsenal go out and replace Bukayo Saka, not internally, but externally, and bring someone in to do that? Mikel was asked about it and if they've got the ability to go out in the January window if it needs to be done. He said, yes, the preparation is done. We are ready if something happens. Obviously, we didn't predict the situation with Bukayo and Raheem at the same time. I haven't even spoken about that as well. Of course, Raheem Sterling now out as well, who would have been an option to potentially replace Bukayo Saka. He certainly would have got more minutes, you would think. Might not have come in to replace him like for like as in starting, but he would have got more minutes. But he's not even going to be around now because of this knee injury he's picked up. So yeah, he said, obviously we didn't predict the situation with Bukayo and Raheem at the same time. We predicted more if something has happened, for example, in the defensive line, but the job is done. Then okay, if something has to happen, we will be open. But the main focus is now on we should strive to distill the potential that is there in the squad. And there were other questions similar to that, and he kept going back to it. My focus right now is on getting the best out of the players that we've got right here, which is understandable. He's always going to say that, but the idea that going into January, from what I'd always been told, was that it was going to be a sort of reactive window rather than a proactive one. And, they would potentially have to react to something if it happened. Well, something has happened and something very big has happened. And on top of that, you've lost Raheem Sterling as well. So if this isn't a situation where you need to be reactive, then I don't really know what is. That's not me saying that they are definitely going to do something, because it might be very hard. I mean, how do you go out and find a replacement for Bukayo Saka? They can't loan anyone, certainly not from a Premier League. I think you can get someone from abroad, but because they've got Neto and Sterling, they can't loan from another Premier League club. So, some people said Marcus Rashford, for example, could come in and do a job for 6 months. I've seen that mentioned. I don't think that can happen because of the loan rules, unless Sterling's loan got cut short, which I don't know if that could even happen. Maybe you can get someone in from abroad, and if you can do that, then you'd hope it'd be more of a Martin Odegaard, because we've seen that was a successful loan, wasn't it, from Real Madrid? But then you've had the ones that didn't work, like Denis Suarez from Barcelona. So there are options to do something in the transfer market, and I think we'll all be sitting there looking at even before Saka got injured. I think we were hoping maybe he could go and strengthen in attack in January. This is only going to heighten the calls for the club to go and do that. It is difficult. It's not as easy as just sitting here and saying, go and sign someone, especially when it comes to the January transfer window. We know that. But as I said, if the January window is about being reactive, well, this is as reactive as you can get. You are missing such a crucial player for 3 months, potentially. Can you go out and lessen the damage and bring someone in who can help deal with that and help you try and get the trophies that you want to get this season? So it'll be very interesting to see what they do in the window, and if this does sort of hasten their attempts to strengthen the forward line. I would suggest that they need to, but that's for me to say. It's not for me to do. It's for the club to do, and we'll wait and see if they do it or not. Elsewhere, obviously, it was really good news to see Calafiori back. That's a bad tackle that he got in the game, and when he did come back on, that was a welcome back to the Premier League for him. But it was really good to see him back. It'll be interesting what Mikel does against Ipswich. Obviously, got a couple of days to go now until that game at the Emirates. Who comes in? Declan Rice, excellent performance from him when he came off the bench, scored a goal as well. Looked really lively from what I've seen. And with the last few games I've seen Declan Rice play, he's just beginning to get that sort of fuel injection back, I think, where he can just run and run and run, and he's just an immediately better player from that. And I think some of what he did in that game against Crystal Palace just made a mockery of the suggestion that he can't progress the ball forward, which is quite frankly just utter rubbish. But it'll be interesting to see what Mikel does for this game against Ipswich. Lewis Skelly's basically, he's made himself a new first team member in the squad. When you start the season, you thought, they're an option, potentially him and Ethan are an option, but I think they are now, bona fide first team squad players, and their performances have done that. So it's nice. It's sort of bolstered the squad by at least a couple of numbers now, because no one's going to be worried. I certainly wouldn't be worried now if you go to a game and you see Lewis Skelly listed as the starting left back in that game, because he's shown he can do it. He can handle it. He can cope with the pressure. He's got the quality on the ball to deal with it. He can influence games as well. So he's been brilliant in the absence. But it's great to see Calafiori back and to see him come on in the game against Palace. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see him start the match against Ipswich, but I wouldn't be worried if it was Lewis Skelly, as I said, playing in that game. So that's a boost. Zinchenko potentially coming back as well. It's just a story of this season, isn't it? Just as you start getting some of your injured players back, for Arsenal anyway, you get another injury hammer blow come and strike you from elsewhere. And it's just been the story of the season. Again, I was talking to the guy on the coach yesterday on the way to the airport after the Saka injury. It's just like, it just feels like this season has been cursed one way or the other. It's just, I've never experienced a season like it injury-wise for Arsenal. And you can't cry about it. And to be fair to Mikel Arteta, he hasn't cried about it. He didn't cry about it yesterday. He's not ever used it as an excuse. And they've just dealt with it. And on the whole, they've dealt with it pretty well because they've had so many. And to still be in the position they are, to be in the semi-final of the League Cup, to still be kind of in touching distance in the Premier League, to have done what they've done in the Champions League, I think they deserve a lot of credit, and they haven't got that much credit. I think they deserve a lot more credit for how they've sort of navigated these injury issues. But it does just feel like, to have the boost of Calafiori coming back, to Zinchenko coming back potentially, for Jesus to suddenly start scoring goals again, just have that nice bit of momentum building, and then bang, you lose Saka for potentially 3 months. Just the absolute story of the season is a real shame. So, but yeah, we'll wait and see. Give me your thoughts on what you want to see for the Ipswich game as well. I know it's Christmas Day tomorrow, so I'll see if I'm not sure if I'll do a video or not. I probably will. I'll try to. But if I don't, then it is Christmas Day. But I definitely will on Boxing Day as we start to really sort of turn our attentions to that big game against Ipswich. And there's a line on the dial says here: total respect for taking some time off your family in the build up to Christmas. Kids grow up so fast, so savour every moment, especially this time of year. Thank you. I absolutely will. That said, why is it every time you're off for a few days, something monumental happens? Indeed. Well, I'm not going to be off for a while yet now. Maybe over Easter, I might have some time away. But in the build up to that, I'll be here all the time. So hopefully nothing more monumental happens, apart from an unbelievable winning run for Arsenal, of course, in the Premier League, which would be very, very nice. Right, that's it from me, everyone. It's good to be back. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Appreciate it as always. Do have a fantastic Christmas wherever you're watching or listening to this around the world. Enjoy the time with your families. And yeah, I'll be back to speak to you very, very soon. Have a good one. Bye-bye.